270. Members, this is the first one on your calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a simple little 1-2-page bill that provides that sales and use tax levied by local law for a specific Board of Education in a county can only be levied in the area served by the Board of Education specific to the local law. So if you don't serve the children in a specific area because they're in a different school system, then you can't tax them and then spend their money in a completely different school system.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Senator Weaver, if I may.
Yes, sir.
You're jumping right in the middle of a Baldwin County Civil War. I hope you understand that.
This is a statewide bill. So
Yes, I know,
would apply
because
to
we have
everyone.
another bill just like it on local legislations that's not moving. And so this is an end run to get around local legislation policy. And is an end run to try to, in my humble mind, damage I represent 70% of Baldwin County. Baldwin County has a county school-wide system until fairly recently. And then school districts and cities decided to start breaking off. That was difficult to do, and there was a lot of controversy and a lot of angst over this. They broke off, 2 of them have, and they were unhappy with the results that they had, and they were continuing. This is going back for a number of years. And the local school district that broke off had a claim. They were not able to negotiate it out. They were angry with each other. And so they took it to court. And they lost in circuit court. The city did. And they lost at the appellate court. And they lost at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, part of the opinion was, you guys made this deal and you made it knowingly. And now you want to change it. So that was accomplished, and now we have another breaking off, or has broken off, and we have the same issue. So what we have here is an argument between 2 school districts against the greater school district. And they want to remove money from the county school district to go to the city school districts that broke off. Now, we've had this argument in Baldwin County, and we continue to have this argument in Baldwin County, and it's causing a lot of discontent, and it's causing a great deal of angst among individuals and institutions. If the state wants to jump in on this, I guess the state can jump on in this. But I'm going to represent my district. I'm going to vote no on this. I'm going to ask that everyone vote no on this. And if it gets out of committee and gets on the floor, I'm going to filibuster this as much as I possibly can. I'm going to ensure that I protect my district, because if a city wants to break off and do a school district on its own, that's perfectly their right to do. But they can't take revenue that's been set up previously under some guise or argument that, oh, we didn't know, or oh, it should be now, or something along that line. I am not going to allow my school district and the county to be pulled out of and balkanized in a way that's going to harm 70% of Baldwin County. Now, I'm strong about this. Y'all know where I am on this, and I apologize for being so obnoxious, but it just comes naturally some days. And that's where I am. So I'm going to move that we carry this over until we can work this out.
Senator Weaver, thank you for presenting this bill and stepping into this frying pan. I will take it from here, and I know you've got somewhere to be. So thank you. I understand.
Are you okay?
Yes, ma'am. I am.
Okay.
But I don't like being interrupted.
Well, I didn't interrupt you.
Okay.
I had my hand up for a question before the gentlelady leaves.
Thank you, ma'am. I know you have somewhere to be. Got it. Okay. So, Senator Albritton, I appreciate where you're coming from on this piece of legislation. I am the senator from Baldwin County, the only senator that represents Baldwin County, and the only one that represents all 3 of these school systems. And I am intimately involved with this particular issue, as you well know. In Baldwin County, we levy a tax countywide. That tax is for education.
We've had this argument, we've gone through this many times. You and I have, and others have, and the courts have. My angst is not only just a matter of what we're doing and how this is going about, but trying to do the end run around between the local legislation and making it a general law to run around what the policy and what we've done here in. That's part of my problem here, Senator. Is if we're going to follow the policy of what we have in the Senate accomplishing, that's fine. But if we try to run around, I didn't know this was coming up. I didn't know that you had this bill. I didn't know that you'd gone to another senator to carry it. I think that is inappropriate. I will fight this in every way possible. Now, you may get it out of committee, and you may even get it passed. I would suggest that you rethink that, because that is not the pattern that we should follow.
Okay, I'm going to continue with my comments, if I may. So we have a tax in Baldwin County that is levied for education purposes. 40% of it currently goes specifically to the Baldwin County Board of Education. When the local law was passed, there was only one Board of Education in Baldwin County, just one. There are now 3. And so in every other circumstance statewide where such a situation occurs, the either local law is updated or it's levied under a different title, and it's automatically split among the children in the county. What we have now is taking from children in 2 school systems just because they happen to be in a different school system. Their parents are, I would prefer not to be interrupted again.
I understand that. I would prefer that we not have this discussion openly, but you've made this the point. All that is correct, and yet the school systems that broke away and the Baldwin County school system had this discussion, had an agreement. It was actually completed by those folks, and now it's already gone through the courts, and now we're trying to legislatively change. That's all I'm saying.
The court's decision actually said that we should legislatively change this. That's exactly what the Supreme Court said. The legislature needs to update this. And so that is the process that we're moving through right now, is moving through this process so that this tax is distributed fairly among all of the children in the county. When these 2 school systems split off, they had an expectation that their legislative delegation would update the statute. Most of what we do here in Montgomery is update statutes. We do that on a regular basis. Now, one thing I'd like to point out, my colleague says that this is going to harm the county school system somehow or another. That's an interesting concept, and I'd like to run through some numbers for you. I actually have them memorized, if you can believe it. When the 2 school systems split off, the 2 school systems down at the beach, and oh, by the way, there is active conversation about additional city school systems in Baldwin County as we continue to grow. And so when the 2 school systems split off, the asset value of the county school system went down. Okay? That makes sense? And if you understand the foundation program and how we fund education in Alabama, when the asset value of the county went down, the number that is subtracted from the foundation program formula got smaller, which means that the county school system now gets more money than they did previously.
So
if you're a fan of education in Baldwin County, if you're a fan of
pushing the county systems onto the state dole.
If you are a fan of more education funding in your county, then you would be in favor of this bill. Since 2019 and prior to the cities splitting off, annually calculated, the Baldwin County school system is receiving $43 million more. They get $43 million more in state funding than they did in 2019. Those are numbers determined by our legislative fiscal office. In order to be as fair as possible, we went back in and we looked at the calculation of what average per pupil spending is statewide and what those increases have been since 2019. Okay, because we've done good work in increasing per pupil spending in the Alabama legislature, and you may not be surprised, or you may be. to find out that we have increased per pupil spending by 27%. And so that's money the county school system was going to get anyway. And so I've subtracted that from the 43 million, that 27%. And so they're $31 million better off. $31 million better off.
Then why is the county school system so adamantly opposed
Mr.
to
Chairman,
this action?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
As Vice Chairman, I would ask that you relinquish the gavel to me and to let me help maneuver us through this emotional situation.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay. At this point, the senator has a question.
Thank you so much. The first statement I would like to make is the same respect that I give to members of this committee and this body that I disagree with at times. I want the same respect back. That's what I'm asking. The question that I had for the gentle lady before she left was specific on Jefferson County. And I can't remember if she represents a piece of Jefferson or not. I know she does, mostly Shelby. But Jefferson County has a 1-cent sales tax. So I want to make sure, because what you all talked about was only Baldwin. Y'all should have had a local piece of legislation, not a statewide piece of legislation that impacts everybody. So my question for the gentle lady, and I guess maybe because you have all the information, maybe you can tell us how this is going to impact Jefferson and what we already have in the distribution that we've already agreed on.
Thank you, Senator. We'll come back. Senator Albritton, did you have a comment?
Only to point out that we do have a local bill dealing with this. And we're waiting, and again, my opposition has been known from the get-go on this, and my purposes on this is always there. The good senator from Baldwin County has indicated how much better off the county system would be, and yet that is contested by the county system. I've spoken personally with the superintendent. I've spoken personally with the financial director there, and they are adamantly opposed to this because of the harm that will occur. Now, what am I supposed to do on this? How am I supposed to handle this? And I am greatly offended by the point that we've tried to run around our agreed upon system in this manner. Now, how it affects y'all, that's a good question. How it affects the rest of the state is a good question. But that has no bearing on the point that all this has been argued out and continues to be fought. I just don't think we need to fight it in Baldwin County here.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Elliott.
To answer your question, it does not impact Jefferson County. The bill is styled to specifically be a local implication only because of how it is crafted. You in Jefferson County and everywhere else in the state, including Lee and elsewhere, would never think to tax one system and not give them at least a portion of the revenue back. So congratulations, you do it right. But I will tell you, I've had 6 separate LSA analysts go through this legislation, and it does not impact Jefferson County in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How can
Senator,
I put that?
Senator Coleman Madison.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Coleman and I are on the same page with this. I have 3 school systems in my district, and a couple of them trying to break away. So while you say this is, again, the discussion has really been about Baldwin County. It is a local issue. And I really have a problem when we have a local issue that we want to spread the net all over the state and bring us all into your disagreements. I won't say fight, your disagreements. It should be solved. That's one of the reasons I am for local home rule, because these are things that should be discussed and solved at the local level, not put out for everybody. There are people, some systems are doing great. We have other issues that we have to deal with that are much greater than this. But I don't think we need to tear up how many school systems we have in the state. Actually, I've read it, and it doesn't really specify that. This needs to be a local bill. And I don't think that the timing is as such that we put this out over the whole state, not knowing the implications of what it is going to mean for our school systems. For instance, in Jefferson County, we have a representative from Birmingham that sits on the Jefferson County Board of Education that is elected. So again, I understand what you're trying to do. I hope that you all can come together to work this out, but I do believe you need to come together at home and work it out. Thank you.
Senator Coleman, did you have additional? Okay, thank you. Other discussion? Senator Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll go back to saying, again, the county school system is now $31 million better off. It does not hurt them in any way, shape, form, or fashion. The cost of splitting the 40% of 1% is around $5 million. There's still $26 million to the good. To just share
I see your point.
a small piece of the
I see
revenue
your point.
with kids in systems that these are children.
We just don't want to be brought into it.
Well, the goal in bringing it this way was to give my colleagues an opportunity to do what's right without necessarily having to vote that way on the record when you do have a county school system that is not happy with the $31 million more every single year that they get and instead want $36 million. They want it all. They're sitting on a $200 million cash reserve right now. And so I was absolutely trying to figure out a way to break this logjam. For the first time since 1903, and I see my colleague out there with the County Commission Association, there is actually a discussion of splitting the county over a tiny little $5 million thing that with a school system that has a budget varying from $500 million to $750 million. I mean, there is a point where this is just starting. And just to be clear, I represent all of these systems. But fair is fair, and taking from one, to give to one. Can you imagine if you had a countywide tax and your cities didn't get any? Can you imagine not sharing one way or the other? Can you imagine if there was a countywide tax just for one city system? It was collected all over the county and wasn't shared.
I see your point, sir, but again, it says
Senator
county
Coleman.
sales tax.
Senator Coleman. Senator Albritton's next, and then I can come back to you. Senator Albritton.
I would like to point out a couple of things, if I may, in Baldwin County, that some reasoning here. Numbers have been thrown out. I would point out that the two school systems that I've broken away are in the process of building major capital projects, and they are. And they're very nice. They're exceedingly nice. That's on the south end. On the north end, there's considerations that Perdita School, which is first through, I think, 6th grade, is in the potential of closing. Now, what that means is people that live in Baldwin County and Little River will be traveling halfway across the county to Bay Minette to go to school from 1st grade on. That means they're traveling from the Monroe County line all the way down to halfway through the county. You've been to Baldwin County? It's a large county. They're traveling 40 miles by bus to go to school as 1st graders. Now, this aspect of how we have $200 million in savings, and we have $36 million and all that. Consider the size, not only of the growth, but also the geographic area that we have, and that's what I'm trying to protect. I'm trying to make sure that we are able to keep the schools open that are there, keep the kids as close to their homes and going to school as possible, rather than subsidizing those cities that are in capital constructions of major proportions.
Thank you, Senator.
And I'll renew my motion to carry over.
Thank you, Senator. We have Senator Coleman Madison who wanted a word. Then I would like to give Senator Elliott last word and then move on to the rest of the agenda. I heard somebody else say something.
I was going to call for the question, that's
Okay.
it. So
All right, so Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Elliott, and then the question.
To both the gentlemen who are my friends and I respect, I really would respectfully request that you all come together. The bills, as it is written, specifically it talks about county sales and use tax authorized by local law, not state law. I'm going to please ask you all to carry this over and take it back home and get your people together to work together. You all are both down there in that area. District lines change. The people that you may be fighting against right now, you may be representing on however, and you know how that goes. But I'm just asking that you all work together, and I believe that you can do it. If you can't do it at home, how can you do something to represent the whole state? I know that you all are better than this. Don't ask us to make this decision for you all. Because let me say this, and I tell our folks all the time, you all need to be making this decision. You don't need to have a law for us to pass. Because if you allow us to start making this decision for you, we're going to be passing a law to make another decision for you. And only you can make the decision of what is in the best interest of your people. Don't ask us to make this decision.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Elliott, then the question.
So Senator Figures often says she is the senator for Mobile, but she is a state senator. And this, to me, is an issue of fundamental fairness. And it is an issue that I think is fundamentally unfair. I represent all three school systems, a big part of all three school systems. This bill will help all three of them. The numbers are the numbers prepared by the Legislative Fiscal Office. And so I would encourage y'all to move this bill along and let me to continue to fight my colleague, which he has indicated he will clearly do, so that we can do what is right for the children and not take from some to give to others, even though it doesn't hurt them and they benefit several times over. And so, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, there is a motion to carry over Senate Bill 270. There is a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I am opposed, and I'll be loud about it so that the chairman can hear how loud I say no.
The bill's carried over. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I relinquish the mic to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, members.